Hey everybody, Kaitlyn from LeadBoost here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up and edit steps inside your LeadBoost form. Now, I always suggest starting with a template, but in this tutorial, I'm going to walk you through how to set up the questions and responses in a LeadBoost form for a pest control company from start to finish. Let's start with the bird's eye view of the steps editor. To the left, you have your Create Edit Steps area. This is where you'll create and edit each step. To the right, you have your visual editor where you can see some of your changes in real time. This visual is not to scale. To see how each step looks, click the preview button. Finally, as we move down to the bottom of the screen, you'll see the step layout area. This is where you can view the flow of your form and how all the steps fit together. To edit an existing step, simply click on any of the step names in the form layout area. Clicking into the step will open the step settings on the left, and the step will load into the visual editor on the right. Okay, let's dive deeper into the actual step setup. Now, I'm going to walk you through the process of creating a form for a pest control company from start to finish by creating your own customized questions. I usually like to plan out all of the steps and responses ahead of time. Knowing all of your questions and responses before you get to work really makes things easier. In this tutorial, this form will have the following steps. Service type, which is a simple question to engage the prospect and identify the service. What's your zip code, so we can pre-qualify the lead a bit on location. What's your full name? And what are your contact details, which are the email and phone number. To create the first step, you're going to click on the Steps section. Then you'll choose one of the following options from the drop-down menu. When thinking about our form, there are currently 3 different types of steps to choose from. The question step. This step is used for questions that don't require a form field. These responses are either single or multi-select responses. Next, you have the form step. This step should be used when you need to capture information, such as a name, email, zip code, or even a hidden field from a URL parameter. Finally, the text block. We only use this when we have to end the form with a thank you screen. Since the first step in our form deals with identifying the issue, we're going to start with the question step. First, let's give it a step name. We're going to call it service type. The name will be used for the visual flow and in the lead notification, so you want to ensure that it makes sense. Then the question text, we're going to add our question. Since this is a pest control form, we're going to ask the prospect about the type of service they are looking for. What type of pest control service are you looking for? You'll notice as I type, it updates in real time to the right. Next is the step subtitle. This is optional. If you'd like to add some friendly helper text below the question, then this is the place to do it. For the first step, I'm going to use click to choose. In order to start adding responses, we need to save the step by clicking the blue button. You'll notice that if I don't click the blue button, the responses button doesn't appear. When I click Save Step, the Add Response button appears. To add a response, we're going to click on the blue button. Then we're going to add our response text. For the first response, I'm going to add termite inspection. Then the next option is the target step. Since this is the first step in the form, I'm going to leave the target step blank for now. We'll come back and edit it later. Next, we have to save the response. It's important to note you have to click Save Response down below in order for it to save. If you click on Save Step, it won't work. Click on Save Response, and then click Save Step. Now I'm going to add all my other 4 responses, continuing to skip the target step for now. General insect control. Again, skipping the target step. Flea and tick control. Clicking Save Response below it. And bed bug removal. And last, rodent control. Save response. After I've added those, I want to make sure I click on Save Step. If you notice that your changes haven't been updated to the right, simply refresh the page. Now it'll appear on the right. In order to edit a response, you can click the pencil icon. To delete, you would click the X. If you'd like, you can change the order by simply clicking and dragging. There are also some advanced options. A few of the most important ones to take note of are include an SMS. I'm going to flip the switch to the on position since I want to receive this step as an SMS notification. Then, email integration field names. For example, let's imagine I'm pushing leads into MailChimp to automate follow-up. I can push this step into MailChimp by setting a MailChimp field name. Then I write in service. Again, each time I make a change, I click Save Step. You'll notice that now in the steps layout section, the first step, service type, appears. The last thing we need to do is to set this as an entry step. This is the first question in our lead form. The important thing to do in order to save this step properly is to click Set as Entry Step. If you don't click Set as Entry Step, your form will not work. Once I click it, it'll say Lead Form Entry Step has been set, and I click Save Step. When I scroll down, you'll see that service type is now the entry step. Now, this step is all set up and saved in the system. The only thing to do is to come back and link up the responses to the next step in our flow. So let's create the next step. Our next step, we're going to ask the visitor for their zip code. So I'm going to scroll down and click on New Step. When I scroll up, I'm going to click the option Form since it's the zip code. I'd like to include SMS for this, so I toggle that on. And then the form name will be, what is your zip code? I'm going to skip the subtitle for now since our question's pretty self-explanatory. And our Submit button label, that's for the red button here. I'm going to write in Next. Again, for the target step, we're going to leave this blank because we haven't created the step that comes after it yet. So I'm going to click on Save Step so then we can start adding in form fields. Once I click Save, you'll notice that we can now add form field. Now I'm going to add form field. My field name will be zip code. The label will also be zip code. Then I'll select my field type, Since they're typing information, I'm going to click text. And my validation, I'm going to click on zip code. If I'm in the UK, I can click on UK's postal code. Now, let's say I also want to push this information into an email system like HubSpot. Going to toggle this on, and my HubSpot field name will be zip code. Then I make sure that I click on Save Form Field. And then I go up, Save Step, and you'll notice over to the right, you can see what it looks like. To edit a field, you can use the pencil icon. To delete it, click the X, and if you want to add more, you can click Add Form Field. For this one, we're going to just have one. If we look at the steps layout, you'll notice that we have 2 steps created. We'll need to link these steps together. To do this, I'll start by clicking on the Services step. Once I click on it, you'll notice that it's bolded. That means that we're going to edit this step. Now that we're on the Services step, we can go to the responses on the left-hand side of the screen. To edit, we click the pencil. Now we can add in the target step, which will show how it connects to the next step. We're going to connect it to the next step, zip code. You must make sure that you click on Save Response. I'm going to do the same thing for all other responses. Again, if I don't click Save Response and I click on the next one, your change will not be saved. I have to click on Save Response in order for it to appear. Once I've done all that, you'll see that each one of these responses links to the next step zip code. After I've made that change, I click on Save Step. And when I scroll down, you'll notice that the first step, service type, is now linked to zip code. Let's make our third step. We click on New Step, scroll up. Our third step is full name. So we're going to click on Form, since they will be filling this out. Our step name will be full name. I'd like to include SMS. And our form title will be, what is your full name? Subtitle, I'm going to write first and last name. Then my red submit button label, I'm going to type in next. And again, my target step, I can't link it to the following step because it hasn't yet been created. In order to add the form fields, I click on Save Step. Now I can add a form field. I'm going to type in full name. Full name. And then the field type will be text because they're typing it in. And the validation type, full name. I don't want to use any of these options right now, so I'm going to click Save Form Field. Then I scroll up, save the step, and you'll see over on the right a preview of this step. If we scroll down to the visual editor, you'll see full name has been created as the step. It's bolded because that's the step we're working on. Right now, it isn't linked to any of the steps. So we're going to make sure that we go back and link them together. I'm going to go to the step I just created, zip code. Click on that. Right here, select target step, and I'm going to click on full name. So now zip code will link to full name. I have to go and click Save Step. step has been saved, and now you can see the flow. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Let's create the next step. Just like the zip code step, we're going through the same process. This will be our contact form. So I'll click Form, Contact Form. And what are your contact details? For subtitle, I like to add something additional like we'll contact you with a quote. Submit button. I'm going to write in get my quote. Target step. I haven't yet created the final step, so I'm going to leave that blank. I want to make sure I save my step. Now I can add my form field, email. My label will be email address. Field type will be text. Validation, email. And then again, I have my advanced options here if I need them. Same form field. I also want to add in their phone number, so I'm going to add in another form field. This will be the phone number, and the label, again, will be phone number. It'll be text because they're typing it in. My validation will be phone. Again, I have my advanced options if I need them, but I make sure I click form field. Then I save my step. Here you can see the preview. Again, if you wanted to change any of the order, you can click and drag. And you notice here that it's been saved. So I made a change, I click Save Step. If I go down to the steps layout, I have contact form not yet connected. So I have to go back to the previous step full name. Then I go to select target step and I link it to contact form. Save step. Now when I scroll down, I can see that all of them are linked together. Now let's add a thank you step. So I go to new step. This time I'm selecting text box. And for the text box text, I'm going to write, thanks. We will contact you about your quote as soon as possible. Again, each time I change something, I click Save Step. You can add some custom HTML if you wanted to provide a link or a clickable link or a phone number. And if you want to bypass this step and redirect to a thank you page, then you will simply set a redirect URL on the previous step in advanced options. Finally, we need to connect the contact form to the thank you page. So I go back to contact form, select a target step, thank you, save step, and when I scroll down, I see the flow of my steps. Finally, now that the form is built, let's preview it. I scroll back up to the top and I click Preview. This will open up in a new window. Click here to demo. Now I can see each of my steps in real time. Also note if you're using the pop-up settings, you may want to clear your cookies or use an incognito window. This wraps up our tutorial on how to add all of the steps and responses. You can find other helpful videos like this in the other section of your dashboard. You can contact us using the little chat widget located in the corner of your screen.